Asia Wilson loves to do two things. Two things. Play the victim and is completely delusional as well, I guess. She's petty.
Aya Wilson stirred up major buzz with her recent appearance on the Roommates podcast, where she boldly claimed the WNBA has the toughest schedule in professional sports. To top it off, she confidently said she'd beat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one game. Let that sink in. These statements have sparked a whirlwind of reactions. Some fans are laughing, others are in disbelief, and many are left wondering, what is Aya Wilson really thinking?
Coming back, like, do you feel like as like professional athletes, you guys have like the most like stressful, like strenuous, like careers?
Yeah, for sure.
But these bold comments are just the beginning. From contradictory takes on the WNBA's growth to a surprising leak from close sources that no one saw coming, Aya Wilson has been dominating headlines this week, and not in a good way. The backlash is mounting. Today, we're diving into Wilson's recent antics, how they're alienating fans, why players like Caitlin Clark are stealing the spotlight, and what it all means for the future of women's basketball and the reigning MVP.
Asia Wilson is the queen of the delusion. She's absolutely the queen of the delusion.
Let's start with Aya Wilson's boldest claim yet. The WNBA has the toughest schedule in professional sports, yes, even tougher than the NBA, MLB, or NFL. Speaking on the Roommates podcast, Wilson described the WNBA season as a grueling grind unmatched by other leagues. To her credit, the transition from college to professional basketball isn't easy. Wilson highlighted that WNBA rookies face a whirlwind shift, with barely any time to prepare between the NCAA championships and the draft, especially for players whose college teams make a deep tournament run. There are no rookie combines, and training camps kick off almost immediately after the draft. But does this truly make the WNBA schedule tougher than leagues with far more games, extended seasons, and rigorous travel demands? That's a claim sparking plenty of debate.
I feel like for us, like, we don't have, our rookie orientation is not like anything too crazy. It's literally like, obviously like a day before the draft and you're sitting there and you're talking, but it's like, we don't get to go work out for teams. We don't have a combine and you're going and it's insane. So yeah, I would have to say our schedule is pretty crazy.
Let's break it down. The WNBA season consists of 40 games. Meanwhile, MLB players grind through a staggering 162 games, sometimes playing doubleheaders in a single day. The NBA's 82-game schedule is packed with relentless travel and back-to-back matchups, while NFL players endure weekly physical collisions over a 17-game season. In contrast, the WNBA offers a more condensed schedule, shorter seasons, and less frequent travel demands. While the league presents its own unique challenges, it's hard to argue that it surpasses the intensity and physical toll of these longer, more demanding schedules.
What about the actual NBA? And I understand a lot of them superstars are load managing, but there's still 82 games there. How many games did they just play? 40. Not counting the playoffs, but I mean, Major League Baseball players do 162, not counting the playoffs. It's so disrespectful to other sports.
Fans didn't hesitate to share their thoughts, and the reactions were anything but subtle. One comment read, "She thinks 40 games is hard? Try playing an 82-game season while flying coast to coast every week." Another quipped, "If the WNBA schedule is the hardest, what does that make MLB?" The sarcasm was relentless, with many questioning how an MVP could seem so out of touch with the realities of professional sports. The backlash highlighted a growing disconnect, leaving fans wondering if Wilson's perspective was more about bravado than facts.
She's got to be the world heavyweight champion. Hey, you are a champion. World heavyweight champion of being petty, delusional, and playing the victim. Really? You're complaining about the rookie transition. So disrespectful to MLB athletes. I mean, honestly, it's wild. Didn't know the WNBA had an 82-game schedule. They literally play only 4 months a year.
What makes Wilson's claim even more puzzling is the missed opportunity. As an MVP, her platform is vital for promoting and growing the WNBA. Fans expect her to highlight the league's strengths, not make it seem unappealing to potential viewers by coming across as overly critical. Instead of inspiring admiration, she's invited ridicule at a time when the league is striving for respect and growth. But as outlandish as her comments about the schedule might seem, they weren't even the most shocking part of the interview. Wilson also declared she could beat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one game. Let's just say, the internet wasn't ready for that bold assertion.
I feel like the score would be like 8-11. Me.
It's not that bad.
I get ball first.
You get ball first.
She does get
Yeah,
ball
you're
first.
not gonna get it back. And you
So-
could,
so-
but that's gonna be your time. Like that's gonna be your period, which is fine. I'm not saying I'm gonna go scoreless, but 8-11, I feel like it's pretty solid.
Wilson didn't just claim she could beat NBA player Josh Hart in a one-on-one game, she went a step further, predicting the score, 11-8 in her favor. Let's pause for a moment. Confidence is a vital trait for any athlete, but there's a fine line between self-belief and overconfidence. Wilson's statement didn't just toe that line, it sprinted past it, leaving fans and critics alike questioning whether this was boldness or outright delusion.
So what do you think it'll be, Josh? Don't piss me off. Do not piss me off.
Josh Hart, a respected NBA player known for his defensive tenacity and hustle, didn't need to fire back with harsh words. Instead, his calm and playful reaction on the podcast spoke volumes. It was a masterclass in handling bold claims with grace, leaving the internet to do the talking for him.
Like a good 11, probably like 11-7.
Okay, that's fair. You got 7? Okay.
No.
You
What you mean?
Fans and analysts were far less subtle. Social media erupted with a mix of disbelief and ridicule, with one comment summing up the sentiment: she needs to stop calling out NBA players and start calling out her own shooting percentage. The biting commentary highlighted a glaring issue: the unrealistic gap between the two leagues. Let's face it, there's a vast difference in the physicality, speed, and skill sets required to compete in the NBA versus the WNBA. Even Wilson's height, which is a significant asset in her league, would be a disadvantage against NBA players who are just as tall but significantly stronger and more agile. In reality, the outcome of such a matchup wouldn't even be close.
Let's be honest. 11-0. You can give her the ball first, you can block her shot, you can grab the rebound, and then you can dunk it on her 11 times. Unless this has some rule where you have to shoot threes, and you can't shoot anything inside of 22 feet, if Josh Hart plays a one-on-one game against Asia Wilson, straight up, regular one-on-one, he would absolutely annihilate her. It'll be 11-0.
What's truly baffling is how this claim overshadowed Wilson's MVP credentials. Instead of celebrating her genuine achievements, fans were caught up debating a hypothetical scenario that no one took seriously. For a league working hard to gain credibility, comments like these do more harm than good. But if you think this was the peak of Wilson's controversies, think again. Her next move, criticizing the WNBA's rising popularity, only poured more fuel on the fire. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it with us. Now, back to the action.
This is the time, like we're in the season of women's basketball, and it was so much fun to just it was aggravating, I'm not gonna lie, it was super annoying sometimes, because you feel like you have to reprove yourself, and you feel like you have to go out and be like, no, this is what y'all been missing, and it kind of took away the fun of the game, because you felt like you had to defend yourself and defend who you are as a player every single game.
You'd think someone as prominent as Aya Wilson would embrace the WNBA's rising popularity. After all, the league is finally gaining more attention, viewership is on the rise, and young stars like Caitlin Clark are poised to elevate the sport even further. But Wilson's recent remarks tell a different story. Speaking on the same podcast, Wilson called the WNBA's increased attention super annoying. Yes, you heard that right. A league that has fought for years to gain recognition and respect is now a source of frustration for one of its biggest stars. Fans were left stunned, unable to believe what they were hearing.
I don't know, you guys are, no, you're y'all really, really toxic. I don't think we're that toxic. I think we're pettier. Like, we're petty, for sure.
Social media didn't hold back. One user posted, "So does she want the WNBA to grow or just stay small so she can get all the attention?" Another chimed in, "The league's MVP is annoyed by the attention she literally campaigned for. Make it make sense." The backlash wasn't just about her comments, it underscored a growing disconnect between Wilson's actions and the WNBA's goals. As the league strives for greater visibility and respect, her frustration with the rising attention feels at odds with the very progress she's benefiting from.
Finally giving us like what's been due for, obviously in our eyes, 28 years.
The irony is hard to ignore. Wilson is one of the WNBA's most visible players, reaping the benefits of endorsements, MVP accolades, and a platform that few players ever achieve. Yet, instead of celebrating the league's growth, she's undermining the very thing that keeps her in the spotlight. What's even more puzzling is the mixed message this sends to fans. On one hand, Wilson talks about how hard WNBA players work and how they deserve more respect. On the other, she complains when that respect translates into more attention and scrutiny. It's a contradiction that has left fans scratching their heads, trying to figure out where she stands.
Before Caitlin Clark, this was the face of the WNBA. No wonder all the ratings and the viewers showed up after Caitlin Clark got involved. This ain't it. This ain't it. I mean, that's delusional on a whole nother level.
Meanwhile, players like Caitlin Clark are thriving in the spotlight, using their platforms to promote the game and connect with fans. The contrast couldn't be more striking. Where Wilson sees a burden, Clark sees an opportunity, a chance to elevate the sport, build her brand, and inspire the next generation. While Wilson grapples with the attention, Clark is embracing it and using it to push the WNBA and women's sports in general into new territory.
The amount of people that have showed up in the stadiums, from the viewership numbers to people really wanting to wear a WNBA player's jersey or buy their merch or whatever it is, or have their shoe. Just how it's evolved in such a short period of time, I think shows everyone, there is real opportunity here. And
Wilson's comments aren't just frustrating, they're a missed opportunity to champion the league during a pivotal time in its history. With more eyes on women's basketball than ever before, the WNBA needs its stars to shine, not sulk. Instead of embracing the spotlight and pushing the league forward, Wilson's remarks seem to undermine its progress. But if her thoughts on the league's growth weren't controversial enough, the next story involving A'ja Wilson took things to an entirely new level.
A'ja Wilson is not playing in Unrivaled, much like Caitlin Clark's not. But there's been a story surfaced by way of Sports Business Journal that is baffling, and it is getting absolutely crushed right now because nobody believes it.
Just when you thought A'ja Wilson's week of headlines couldn't get any wilder, reports surfaced that she had rejected a lucrative offer from Unrivaled, a new 3-on-3 basketball league looking to attract big-name talent. But this wasn't your typical contract negotiation. Instead of quietly turning down the deal like Caitlin Clark did, Wilson's camp allegedly leaked that her offer was even bigger than Clark's. The timing was nothing short of questionable. Clark had already made waves by rejecting Unrivaled's historic $1 million deal, earning widespread praise for her humility and focus. Just hours later, Wilson's team seemed to grab the mic, making sure everyone knew her offer was bigger and that she declined it too.
Did you see how many people showed up to watch Caitlin Clark play golf? With actual attention economics at play, Caitlin's participation in any league has an existential bearing. Nobody outside of A'ja herself cares about whether A'ja shows up.
Fans were quick to call out the move. One user posted, "Clark rejected it and moved on. Why does A'ja need the world to know she said no? Desperation much?" Another quipped, "This feels like a case of main character syndrome." The reactions weren't just about the leak itself, they reflected a growing frustration with Wilson's perceived need to center herself in every narrative. What makes this leak particularly baffling is its optics. By emphasizing that her offer surpassed Clark's, Wilson inadvertently shifted the focus away from her own accomplishments and back onto her privilege. This is a recurring theme in her public image, one that continues to alienate fans and distract from the real conversation.
That's crazy because literally nobody asked, and sources close to A'ja Wilson decided to answer anyway.
Clark's quiet rejection, on the other hand, highlighted the growing divide between the two players. Where Clark has positioned herself as grounded and focused, Wilson's actions often feel calculated to keep her name in the headlines, regardless of how it's received. For Unrivaled, the situation was a disaster. The league had hoped to debut with two of the WNBA's biggest names, only to watch both reject their offers in very different ways. Wilson's approach only made the league's struggles more obvious, while Clark's decision further cemented her status as the relatable hero fans love. As the backlash to the leak grew, it became clear, this wasn't just about rejecting an offer. It was about how A'ja Wilson's need for attention contrasts sharply with players like Clark, who focus on building the sport's future rather than keeping themselves at the center of the narrative.
The more people can get out and watch the W or watch the college game or whatever it is, the better it's going to be for the future of the game.
While A'ja Wilson finds herself at the center of controversy, Caitlin Clark is quietly emerging as the face of women's basketball, and for all the right reasons. From her record-breaking college career to her professional debut, Clark has captured fans' hearts with her talent, humility, and unwavering focus. Clark's decision to reject Unrivaled's $1 million offer made headlines, but not because she sought the spotlight. Instead, her move was seen as a testament to her character. Fans praised her for prioritizing rest, off-season training, and long-term career growth over a flashy payday. In an era where athletes are often criticized for chasing fame, Clark's grounded approach was a refreshing change, showing that her commitment to the game goes beyond the money and attention.
I think the thing about leadership is like how you approach every single person is going to be completely different. And I think the thing that's helped me be successful throughout my career has been the relationships that I've been able to build with people, and every single person you have to approach differently because they come from a different background, they come from a different place. Somebody can be a little more tenderhearted, and for me, I probably want to be screamed at. Like, it's just everybody's a little bit different. So I think that's what's unique about leadership and being able to understand people, but that takes time, and building relationships is really important.
One fan tweeted, "Caitlin Clark just gets it. She knows her worth but doesn't need to flaunt it. That's why we love her." Another wrote, "She's not just a great player, she's a great role model." These sentiments reflect a growing divide in how fans perceive Clark versus other players like Wilson. Clark's actions stand in stark contrast to Wilson's recent antics. While Wilson seems to court controversy, Clark focuses on the game and the greater good of women's basketball. She understands that her platform is bigger than herself, using it to inspire future players and promote the sport's growth. This contrast is particularly striking as the WNBA moves into a critical phase of its evolution. Stars like Clark represent a new era of leadership, one that values humility, collaboration, and a clear vision for the league's future. As Clark continues to rise, she's setting a standard for what a true leader in the sport looks like. And while Wilson may dominate headlines, it's Clark who's winning the hearts of fans and shaping the future of the game.
That's the reason that you play. It's not because of the wins and the points you score. It's the amount of joy that you can bring people, and the young girls that will one day grow up to hopefully, be whatever they want to be and get to talk about those moments too.
A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark represent two very different narratives in women's basketball. Wilson, despite her incredible talent and accolades, finds herself at odds with fans and analysts due to her controversial comments and perceived need for attention. Meanwhile, Clark continues to rise as a symbol of humility, focus, and leadership qualities that resonate deeply with the audience. Wilson's claims, from the WNBA's toughest schedule to her hypothetical one-on-one dominance over an NBA player, have sparked widespread debate. But instead of showcasing the league's growth and potential, these moments have drawn attention away from the game itself. Add to that the Unrivaled leak and her frustration over the WNBA's popularity, and it's clear why fans are growing weary.
Everybody talks about like the effect that we have on them, but also they have the same effect on us, and I think that's what's really cool about it is to see how much joy it really brings them, and it brings their families, and that one game where they spend 2 hours of their whole entire year has such an impact on their entire childhood, and I think that's really cool to think about. And
on the other hand, Clark's quiet rejection of Unrivaled and her steady focus on the sport have set a standard for what fans and the league need right now. She's a player who embraces the spotlight for the right reasons, not to chase headlines, but to uplift the game and its community. As the WNBA moves into a pivotal era, players like Clark represent a brighter future, one rooted in connection, humility, and a vision for collective growth. Wilson's immense talent is undeniable, but unless her actions align with the league's aspirations, she risks alienating the very audience the WNBA is trying to win over. The question now is simple: which path will define the WNBA's next chapter? A'ja Wilson's controversies or Caitlin Clark's quiet leadership? Fans have already made their choice, and it's clear which story resonates more. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.